And what's going on, Webby Webb here with Jeff Lightsey.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
we already know what time it is. It's NBA talk. NBA Finals kicking off tonight, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, we got Golden State versus Toronto. Jeff, it doesn't get better than that, right?
It's pretty good, man. I mean, I know a lot of people in Milwaukee are a little disappointed, and folks
sure.
in Portland as well, but maybe not as much.
Yeah, I
in
was going to say,
Portland.
Portland should
But
really
maybe
have
not
no
as much in
reason.
Portland. But the thing is, having these two teams, two of the favorites, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Golden State, of course, the prohibitive favorite coming into the season. Toronto winning, having one of the better records in the entire NBA, second best record in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. Like this team. These two teams, this is what they trained all year for. This is what they came for. This is what Toronto went out and got Kawhi, for this moment. And this is why Golden State, they are who they are, and they're back in fifth straight final. So it's going to be a great series, man.
Yeah, Golden State looking to make the three-peat happen. We know that this will not be easy journey necessarily because, one, they're starting on the road.
Yes.
This is the first time they're starting on the road. And pretty much, going into Toronto, we know the fan base in Toronto is going to be electric and crazy. Let's get right into it. What are you looking forward to? Let's go game one. What is going to be the keys for game one?
So with game one, it is interesting that you brought up that road aspect because you got to think about Golden State. Over the last 5 finals, they've always been the favorite. So they've always played at home.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's what's crazy is that it seems that at least this year and then even in years past, Golden State has played better on the road. I think with them starting on the road, it kind of gives them a wake up factor because I feel like if they were playing at home, they almost be going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? Like because they're on the road in Toronto, that crazy fan base is like, okay, we're here for a series. Even though Toronto mainly is focused around one player, the fact that you're on the road at a crazy environment, a bunch of new fans, a team that's really, hasn't been good for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? Like being on the road for Golden State, I think it'll give them a little edge, a little fired up. Draymond, I know he'll play into that. Steph, Clay, like these guys, I think they'll be ready and they'll have a really good game in game one.
So with like you mentioned Draymond. Now on Toronto's side, is there X factor? I'm looking at Danny Green. I believe that Danny Green could be a silent player that could, spark and really cause Golden State some problems necessarily.
Well, Danny Green is going to be key, right? Because more than likely he's going to be the person guarding Steph.
Yeah.
I mean, if they put Kyle Lowry on Steph, it's not going to be good. But Danny Green is a really good defender. He's going to be the person tasked with chasing Steph Curry around the perimeter. Now, what's going to be key is Danny Green hasn't been shooting very well.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to make Steph work on defense, right? Because if he doesn't make Steph Curry work on defense, he just gets free reign. He can be the best defender in the world.
Yeah.
If Steph Curry gets shots off, they're going to go in. And we saw in the last series, he's averaging over 30 a game since KD's went out. Like, Steph, once he gets shots off, he's like no other player we've ever seen in NBA history. So Danny Green is going to have to tire him out, make him, put him in pick and roll, make him come off, make him guard guys like Kawhi or Siakam or even Kyle Lowry. Make him work on the defensive end because if he doesn't, they're going to have a long series.
Most definitely. And we know that Toronto, they can't get one-dimensional. If they get one-dimensional going with Kawhi, it's gonna get ugly for them. Just if they have to utilize all their players and they have to look what they have the advantage at. They have to go to guys like Ibaka and Gasol just because they have the upper hand.
They do have the size. Like that is the thing that can play in Toronto's favor, right? Because Golden State without KD is very small.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Looney. They haven't played Bogut really. I mean, Draymond plays 5 in most possessions on most minutes. So, like you said, Toronto, if they want to have a chance, they're going to have to slow things down and really go, try to go inside. Kawhi will have to pound the paint. Gasol, Ibaka, Siakam, like these guys will have to pound the paint and slow the game down and get hard, tough earned buckets.
Yeah, okay, so a couple things. We know KD's ruled out for tonight.
Yes.
What do you think there's more to a backstory on like why KD's out? Or do you think he really might just be injured?
I think he's just hurt. Because the thing is, the narrative right now is not playing in KD's favor, right? Like the whole thing when KD went to the Warriors, it was like, he's going to a 73-win team. They don't really need him. Then they won 2 championships, and it kind of quieted down, for most people. But now, since he's been out, they haven't lost.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing is when KD misses and Steph plays, they're like, 30, 34 and 1?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane. Like, the fact that they're still that good, as long as their core nucleus that they drafted plays, and then when KD plays and Steph misses, like, they're not nearly as good. They lost way more games. And so it's like, he can't like that. He's human. Kevin Durant has shown that he's on social media, that he's on, he watches Twitter, he watches ESPN and First Take, and Skip and them, like because he responds, Fox, because he responds to him. He got into a back and forth with Chris Broussard, like he lets you know that he listens to everything, and all these guys are saying, well, man, and it ain't looking good. The fact that you're missing and they're still winning. Portland had Golden State down by double digits every game, all 4 games in that series, and lost all 4 games without Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? Like
no KD at all.
No KD in that last game against Houston. They beat them pretty handily. So it's like he sees that. And so I know he wants to play. So if he wasn't legit hurt, he would definitely be playing. So he could come, win him another Finals MVP. It's like, see, they need me. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, they need me. But in reality, they don't. And that's got to be killing him.
So, like his first year, would you necessarily say he pretty much played a big factor?
Well, he's played a big factor all 3 years, right? Like putting Kevin Durant on the Warriors is what made them unbeatable, right? Because the year before he got there, they lost. You know what I'm saying? So, not to say that they can't lose the series, and then the fact that he's not playing is the reason why some people are picking Toronto. Now, if Kevin Durant was playing, there's no way in the world I believe anybody would pick Toronto. But the fact that he's not playing is what people saying gives Toronto a chance to win. So like that's why I'm saying, even though that is still a thing, like even though we wouldn't pick Toronto if he were playing, the fact that he's not playing and they're still winning, and if they go on and win this thing without him and Steph wins MVP, it's kind
of like we have you so you don't play against us. That's what most people are looking at.
Well, it's just like, you can almost seal his ticket out of there, because it's like, what will be the point of staying there if they can win championships with you or without you, and they've done both. So
so it's pretty much, we have to look at it from a perspective. Let's say Toronto takes game 1 tonight, right?
Yes.
If you're KD, are you playing game 2, or are you going to wait to game 3 or 4 necessarily?
Well, here's the thing. If you're Kevin Durant, so they tell us it's a calf bruise or something, whatever. Like initially the injury, some of the guys on TV, some of the national pundits are saying like they were told this was a 3 to 6 week injury. Well, today marks week 3. Right. And then remember, so they said initially they were told it's a 3 to 6 week injury, like when it first happened. And then remember, Golden State came out and said it's worse than we thought. Right. So if today marks week 3, if it's a 6 week injury, like some people think it might be, in 3 weeks, the finals will be over. You know what I mean? Like the finals are over if you go 7 games in 2 weeks, So it's like, I think he's legit hurt. So honestly, I don't think he plays at all. If he does, maybe if it's a game 6 or a game 7, he won't be back until then. And then by then,
it's pretty much hit or miss.
Exactly. Especially if the Warriors are up 3-2, he won't play. Even if it's 3-3 game 7, I think that's the only way we might see him play. But honestly, by that point, it would be almost like, what would be the point? I guess to try to win a championship, but nah, I don't know if we see Kevin Durant at all in this series. Yeah,
So Toronto fans, there's something to cheer about necessarily.
It's definitely but you got to go in thinking he's not going to play, because
you have to.
He hasn't played. They showed him getting on the plane the other. He's traveling, but he's limping. You know what I mean? You're limping. That means you're not.
They're probably looking long term.
So he hasn't even practiced yet. That's the thing. You have to practice at least a week or 2 before you even play, and he still hasn't practiced. Yeah. So the fact that he hasn't done that, that's not a good sign.
And another thing to note is that the time difference. So like game 3 or game 2 would be like you're looking at 3 to 4 days, away. So it's like from game 1 necessarily. So that's not even, you're not even getting proper body. So if he's not even going the motions of, hey, KD is clear to, shoot.
That's what I'm saying. He's doing no basketball activities.
If he's doing no basketball activities, it might be kind of ugly. And like I said, this is Toronto's first trip to NBA Finals. Yes. They got Drizzy Drake on the sideline, and he's going to be courtside. He's going to be amped up.
Crazy, yeah.
So I'm really interested to see. And honestly, I think Toronto takes games 1 tonight. They take game 1 tonight.
Ooh,
I'm going to go Toronto game 1 just because, Jurassic Park is going to be amped crazy. I think everything's playing out in Toronto's favor right now. But I could be wrong, and Golden State could come out and win by 15. You never know necessarily.
The thing about the Warriors, man, is that they're so, they can just turn it on at any moment, right? And I think the Warriors are so, in particular, Draymond Green, right? So I don't know if you remember, back early in the season when Draymond and KD got into it, he said, we don't need you. You know what I mean? Called him out his name. He said, we don't need you, man. And so I think he is adamant, right? And he kind of showed it in the last series. He is adamant to proving to Kevin Durant, right? Like his teammate on the sideline is, We don't need you. And so he is playing since Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green have been playing their best basketball. Yeah. And so I think Draymond Green, along with the rest of the team, but especially Draymond and Klay Thompson as well, the fact that he was left off a All-NBA team,
which is ridiculous,
are willing to prove, are trying to prove not only to Kevin Durant, but to the rest of the world that, like, hey, you guys said we were unfair with Kevin Durant, whatever. We would have did this with or without KD. It's kind of what they want to prove. Now, whether you think that's true or not, I don't. But, I mean, whether you think that's true or not, regardless, I mean, it's neither here nor there. But they're willing to prove that we don't need this man to be champions. We were champions before him, and with him being out, we will be champions after him. And I think that's what they want to prove, and that's why I think they go in and take game one and try to show to the world that, hey, we are the Golden State Warriors. We are the best team in basketball, maybe the best team ever assembled on an NBA roster.
Yeah,
and we're gonna prove it.
We're gonna prove it. So Jeff, I think. If I'm not going to make an assumption, but are you leaning towards, did you just give your pick that you're going Golden State?
I go Golden State tonight. I think the Warriors will win in 6. I think they will be 3-time champions. I mean, a feat that only a few NBA teams have done in the history of the league. Jordan twice, Shaq and Kobe Lakers, the Boston Celtics back in the 60s, and now we can talk about the Golden State Warriors. And so I think they will, my prediction is Golden State in 6. They had game 1 tonight. And they will go down as one of the greatest teams, 4 championships in 5 years, one of the greatest dynasties to ever come across the NBA in history. So.
Honestly, I think Toronto takes game 1 tonight just to kind of spark people and say, oh, they're going to make the unbelievable comeback. And I think Golden State goes ahead and wins, that shows the rest of the series. Not 5, but probably maybe 7. Yeah. 7. They might stretch
Golden
out
State
7. Yeah,
so
Golden State in 7. Given the fact that they have to give the fans what they want. They have to give it. It's the NBA Finals. We know what happens after the NBA Finals. We're going to a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Golden State as well, just because this is the last chapter of the book. I believe this is the last chapter of Golden State. Necessarily, the book's going to close after they win this 3-peat. We're going to see it happen.
Are you saying that because you think that Kevin Durant's leaving, or are you saying that because you just think they won't win another championship?
I just think next season we're gonna see some weird stuff happen in the NBA, and I just feel like this is the last, the dominant of Golden State. That's just me. Even though they're winning without KD, I just think that some different pieces are gonna start coming together, and they're gonna find ways to take down Golden State. LeBron's not gonna sit at home too much longer, and just keep taking that necessarily. So these younger guys are. I believe something's up the sleeve. I don't know yet. It's
a bunch of assumptions. You're hoping that those guys from the Lakers, are you hoping that the dysfunction that is the Lakers pull something together and bring somebody in? But Golden State, I mean, they will etch their names in history at the end of this series as one of the greatest teams, maybe if not the greatest team to ever be assembled on an NBA court. And that's pretty amazing that we were able to watch that. So
yeah,
I'm kind of rooting for that now at this point.
Like I said, game 1 tonight, tipping off at 8 p.m. Central Time. Toronto, Golden State. It's gonna be crazy. It'll be a good game.
It'll be awesome.
Make sure you like, subscribe. Hey, comment who you think is gonna win the series.